Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Cyber Exchange Innovator Spotlight, where we meet remarkable people and solutions in the cybersecurity industry. I mean, today is a day I've been looking forward to for a long time because we've gotten to know Abacode and the team at Abacode really well over the last year, and just a great team, great set of solutions. And we're joined today by Tony Jennings, who's a senior team member there. And Tony's been very gracious to give us some time to talk about how they're helping companies of all sizes address cybersecurity and compliance. Tony, welcome to today's session.
Yeah, thanks, Armistead. I'm happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while myself.
Well, awesome. Well, let's get started. Let's dig in. So for those that may be new to Abacode, what is Abacode? Tell me what you guys do in the market.
Sure. Well, we officially call ourselves a managed cybersecurity and compliance provider, which really just means we're kind of a next generation or new breed of folks that offer managed security services. But in our case, obviously, we combine that with compliance managed services as well.
And he's going to share with us in a few minutes, kind of how he packages and delivers those products and services. So stay tuned. We look forward to seeing that. Well, you guys have been in the market for a while and you've seen it all, and you deliver a really great set of solutions. So let's just kind of dig in on a few of the questions. One thing that a lot of our audience members always want to know is, what are the biggest challenges you're seeing in security these days? It's always changing. The threats are changing. Compliance is changing. But as you meet with your customers, what are those challenges?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is obviously we live in a little bit different world now. Post-COVID, everything's inside out. Everybody that was inside the firewall is now working from home outside the firewall. So that brings one set of challenges. The fact that in addition to the COVID pandemic, we'd have what I would call a ransomware pandemic that's been raging. And that's obviously called it. In fact, I would argue that in fact has horizontalized security in a pretty meaningful way, where before, sure, financial services, the DoD, those are obvious folks that had to be concerned with cyber, be very serious about cyber. But now with ransomware, anyone that has a decent balance sheet is a target, regardless of your industry. So I would argue that's kind of turned cyber very horizontal, so that everybody has to be concerned about it now. And a lot of folks have never had to be concerned about cyber before. So they're basically wondering, well, how do I do this? What do I do? At the same time, those same folks have people they do business with saying, well, I'm going to be sharing my data with you. How do I know it's going to be safe? So you've got all these external pressures that are happening now that really didn't exist before. And again, it causes many of those companies that never have had to worry about cyber before to suddenly be concerned about it. They don't know what to do. And then a big question that then comes, becomes obvious is, okay, how much security is enough? What is, for these organizations, the definition of minimum viable security?
How are you seeing the regulatory environment? There's SOC 2, PCI, CMMC is a big framework that's emerging out there for lots of companies. How are you seeing compliance being sort of a wake-up call for organizations that now need to implement these frameworks and having that drive more of a holistic approach to cybersecurity?
Sure. Well, I think obviously compliance, and this is kind of a pet topic of mine, because at the end of the day, you're being forced to prove to your board or somebody outside the organization that you have a mature cybersecurity program. So regulators use things like HIPAA and PCI and CMMC and things like that to force a minimum level of cybersecurity maturity on their customers. But I would argue, even if you're not subject to those sort of regulatory pressures, at the end of the day, if you want to have a reasonably mature program, you've got to measure yourself against something. Even if it's the CIS top 20, even if it's, even if it's a best practices framework that may be minimal, you've got to measure yourself against something to understand where you stand. And so I would argue that even those folks that maybe think they don't have any compliance, issues, because maybe they're not in the right geography for that to matter. Maybe they're not in a vertical where you have regulatory pressure. I would argue that everybody needs to be compliant to something. So compliance really has become horizontal as well.
Yeah, it can kind of serve as a playbook and a roadmap just to kind of get you started. And these regulatory bodies have already kind of put together these best practices. So it's just a good starting point to kind of build that program out.
Absolutely is. And that's obviously what we do as a company, is help folks kind of traverse that landscape of, How much security is enough? Which framework should matter to me? How mature do I need to be from a cyber perspective with my organization? That's typically kind of where we shine. Where there's often many folks out there that they want to focus on technology. Well, there's a lot of technology. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. But then the day, how much technology? What's the right amount of technology in what areas? So it's always about, for us, understanding how much risk you can afford to take, what your budget is, what your business goals are overall, to determine how much is that minimum viable amount of security that you need for your particular organization.
A lot of our audience joining us today, they may not have big IT or security teams. What's your recommendation for those organizations? As you said, they're just getting started. Is it okay if they don't have anyone that has any expertise in security on their end?
Well, obviously, I'm gonna be a little selfish with this answer, but the answer is obviously that's where companies like Abacode come in. I mean, for literally, if you just want to speak in terms of economics, for about what they would pay for one person, they get an entire compliance and security team if they employ somebody like Abacode. And this is all we do. We're experts. They may be great at building engines or oil filters or making tires, whatever it is they do, they're very, very good at. But this is all we do. We're very good at this. And so what we like to say is, rather than go out and try to find, a 12-person team, which is about what it would take to get to some sort of a reasonable level of cybersecurity maturity, but just because of the different disciplines involved and things like that. We like to say, let us, hire somebody like us, let us come in, this is all we do. Let us focus on that problem so you can focus on your core business.
Absolutely. And I think I read somewhere there's over 1 million unfilled security jobs in the US. So even for someone that had the budget to staff that type of, resource bench depth is really, really challenging. There's not enough talent. So makes a lot of sense. One thing we always like to ask, kind of experts like you that are meeting with customers every day, what are some of the threats and some of the threat trends that you're seeing? You mentioned COVID, and teleworking obviously opens up some new challenges, but what are you kind of seeing out in the market today?
Again, I think probably the thing that we're seeing more in terms of just driving concern and just driving, again, we have a very competent digital forensics and incident response capabilities. So we get a lot of folks that call us when they're in the throes of an attack. Typically, most of the time these days, that's coming in the form of ransomware.
Right.
And it's coming from, again, companies that you wouldn't think would really have a cyber problem. We have a local retailer that you'd never think would really be a target, never thought they'd be a target, that called us in the middle of the night with hair on fire. They were essentially, an attacker had come in and encrypted, their financial systems and whatnot. Had essentially been in there for 8 or 9 months, intimately knew the operation, knew how much they had in their bank account, all these things. And they didn't find out until they got a ransom note, essentially, on one of their computer systems. So this was a situation where a company that normally would not feel like they're a target just because of of what they do, that did get hit with a very sophisticated attack. Again, they understood the business very well by the time they pulled the trigger. And so it was a situation where these folks were in dire straits, needed help, had never experienced something like this before. So we needed to come in and help them get things under control, get their environment cleaned up, unfortunately negotiate with the bad guys to come to a resolution. So we see a lot of this happening right now where, again, companies that really did not think that they would be a target in any meaningful way, being a target, in this case, for financial gain.
And they were in that environment for 8 to 9 months. So the threat actors are showing patience to kind of wait to get their hands on the goods, right? And wait for the right time to attack. So it's not like they come in one day and that's it. So they're showing patience to kind of get to what they want. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. I mean, the average time that they'll spend inside of a network before they actually make their presence known, and by then, of course, it's way too late.
Yeah.
It's about 9 months. That's about average, and they're going to get in there and establish their presence in a very stealthy way. They're going to penetrate into all the systems that matter. Inventory systems, financial systems, CRMs, so they know the business very well by the time it's time to, to send the ransom note, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, another great case study to why organizations need to take this very, very seriously, even if you don't think you're at risk. The threat actors are going down market. They're hitting SMBs, they're hitting industries where they perceive, a lack of security controls. So, having a partner like Abacode to come in and evaluate your environment, make the recommendations, work within your budget is something that everybody should look at. I'd like to dig a little deeper, Tony, into your solutions. I know you've got something you've launched that's fairly new called MCCP, and I'd love to learn more. So if you don't mind, grab the screen and I'll stop sharing and let you show us what this offering is all about.
Great. So we've just launched an offering called MCCP Core. The idea here is this is a core set of, it's a service stack is a good way to think about it. It's a core set of services that we offer that allow an organization to essentially have us be an entire compliance shop for them, an entire cybersecurity shop, everything under one roof, everything in combined together in one integrated monthly service, and also in the convenience of one monthly fee as well. So it's our customers that we have a number of prospects and customers who have adopted this now, and they really are liking the benefit of being able to put everything under one roof. Be able to just hand this problem off to somebody else that can handle the problem holistically, both on the compliance side and on the cyber side. And on the cyber side, have a holistic set of services there that really truly allow you to have a complete program rather than pieces of a program, and have that program applied again in the right measure. This is not one size fits all. I believe, and we believe, we try to meet our customers where they're at and basically design a program that suits their business objectives, their budget, their risk profile, and all of those things, right? So we've talked a lot about the things that have been driving the creation of us as an MCCP, and then our core offering around the fact that compliance is getting ever more complicated, ever more pervasive. Again, there's an ever-growing realization that to have a secure cybersecurity posture or a mature cybersecurity posture, you've got to measure yourself against something. And that's typically going to be a best practices framework or compliance or regulatory framework. And so trying to treat these things as two separate things anymore when they really are interrelated is harder and harder. Thus, the creation of us as an MCCP. But I would argue a lot of the same problems you have with cyber are now happening on the compliance side again. More and more compliance mandates, a lot of complexity, not a lot of folks out there that really understand that. So a dearth of talent, when you can find it, it's very expensive. And of course, we've talked about the fact that the threat environment is not getting any more friendly, right? Absolutely. So all those things are conspiring really to evolve the traditional managed security services provider space, which used to be mostly focused just on providing virtual security operations center services, then later evolved to be a little more proactive, where there was actually some remediation happening. So now this new category, a new breed of security services provider called MCCP, which really finally integrates, again, the compliance and security into one integrated program. And that's really where we come in. We're leading the charge. We're a pioneer in this category. Without getting too geeky here, if you look at really when I talk about what's really included in a program like this, well, of course, you've got to measure yourself against something. So we help you identify the framework or series of frameworks, compliance frameworks that you need to be compliant to, do a gap assessment, help you understand where your gaps are, and then put a remediation plan or a roadmap in place to help you understand how to get from your current state to your desired state of maturity. Again, all that based on your business goals, your budget, your risk tolerance. Those things together help us understand where you need to be as an organization. So we figure out the roadmap to get you there up front, help you implement those controls. That may include any number of things, policy development, et cetera. We have the ability to do all your assessments and testing, vulnerability assessments, pen tests. Obviously, the core of our business is our virtual security operations center, which integrates continuous cybersecurity monitoring and also continuous compliance monitoring as well. All that integrated together from a reporting perspective and whatnot. And then, of course, we offer user awareness training. We talked about the fact that it also includes compliance management, which that also includes the Aptiga compliance portal. That's typically bundled into our core offering along with a SIM such as Alien Vault. So this includes all the services and includes the necessary compliance portal and
Yep.
SIM hardware. Includes training, it includes VCSO hours. So really it includes incident responses. It's truly an all-in-one program that essentially is turnkey but tailored for the customer. It essentially gives, to your point, these SME customers that really don't know where to start, a place to just say, okay, I'm gonna outsource my entire program to these experts and I pay a monthly fee and it's all taken care of.
So, Tony, I was asking you, Tony, a lot of organizations might want a little bit of virtual CISO on top, right? To,
Sure.
maybe someone they can just sort of turn to, get to know their environment. Is that something also you can layer into this?
Yeah, in fact, some standard VCSO hours are included. Obviously, the customer
Okay.
can ask for more, but in this regard, our VCSOs that we have at Abacode become an extension of the management team of our client. So we act just as literally their VCSO in most cases.
That's great because, right, I mean, getting the tools and kind of the ongoing monitoring is one thing, but just having, a real subject matter expert you can reach out to at any time, is so valuable, and being able to put those all together in one package. Now, how do you sell this? Is it monthly? Is it annually? Is it by employee or endpoint? What's sort of just the structure for how this is
Yeah,
sold?
so in fact, I've got a little chart we can work from on that will show this. It depends on the size of the organization. We try to prepackage this into kind of small, medium, large. Again, with the context or backdrop of small, medium enterprise. But we've kind of structured this into these categories, and generally you can think of it. A full up program, an MCCP core program, is going to generally be less than the cost of one full-time equivalent, so one FTE, which when you think about it, for less than the cost of one body, you have an entire, very competent set of experts that are offering you an entire managed program. That's the deal of the century, if you ask me. That's a heck of a deal.
That is fantastic. I mean, security compliance is such a complex industry. There's so many choices, there's so many decisions, and people could spend a lot of money on things that maybe aren't the right, stage and time for their current environment. Right. And to price and package like this, I think really easy to understand. And then as companies grow, they can layer on more things. But you're right, for the less cost of an FTE, and FTE is fully loaded. You got healthcare and benefits and office space, right? So all that to add on. You guys have done a phenomenal job with this. This is really cool. I agree with you. This is pretty groundbreaking to offer this full suite starting at these prices for the value you're given is tremendous.
Thanks. We're pretty excited about it. And like I said, the reception in the market has been phenomenal so far. Companies that before might pay a monthly fee for monitoring and then a quarterly fee for vulnerability assessments and an annual fee for pen tests. And oh, by the way, we need to buy some VCSO hours and what about this user awareness training thing? To be able to roll that all up into one program and just pay one monthly subscription fee has been, we had great reception on that so far.
Well, that's tremendous. Well, I really appreciate the overview, and I know our audience members do as well. I'm going to just wrap up by showing everybody how to find Abacode in Cyber Exchange. I'm just going to grab the screen from you and show everybody where you guys are in Cyber Exchange. So this is I'll kind of minimize our video here. So this is the Cyber Exchange website, cyberexchange.aptiga.com, and you can search by providers. Abacode is one of our providers, and you can just find them on the drop down here, which I've done. And you're able to see where Abacode solutions map to all these major categories. You see the full suite. So as you heard from Tony, they do offer that full stack. So vulnerability management, all the way down. There's many. But then also I can go by framework. So he mentioned CMMC. How can Abacode help me with CMMC? And so we've actually broken down every control and family of controls in CMMC. Here you see access control AC. I'll scroll down and see awareness training, where if you need to follow CMMC, you can actually see where Abacode can actually fill all those gaps for you. And I just click on one of these tiles, which is, let's do managed security solution. And here I can just get a description of the types of services provided, product specifications. I've got a great kind of one-sheeter here that I can read to kind of learn more about the service. Really, really easy to quickly see, if you're following that framework, how they can satisfy those gaps. And then if I want to learn more or get a quote, I can click one of these buttons and I'll be connected right to Tony and his team to take care of me. And the great thing is about Cyber Exchange is that you can educate, which services are best for you. Maybe you want to start with policies and procedure development with Abacode. You see some basic pricing. That's my priority. Now I've got the ability to go and learn more about that and then contact Abacode directly from Cyber Exchange. So again, great way to get to know Abacode a lot more. And Tony, I'm just going to pop us back up again here on the screen.
Right.
And I just want to thank you for your time today. This was great. And we're just excited to be a part of your great MCCP rollout. And congratulations on all your success. And we look forward to learning more out in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Armistead. We really appreciate being invited on today. And I think I don't have to tell you, we're enjoying our partnership with Aptiga. I really appreciate you and what you guys are doing with us, and look forward to continuing to find mutual success in the market together with you guys.
Sounds great. All right, everybody, thank you for joining today, Cyber Exchange Innovator Spotlight, and we will see you next time at the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.